This podcast is a proud member of the Unidentified Network.
Police in Las Vegas found themselves in the middle of a UFO mystery last month after an...
Big eyes, they have big eyes.
911, what are you reporting? We got someone or something crawling around out here. Did you see what it was? Was it a person or an animal? Or?
Yeah, one of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too, so that's why I'm kind of curious.
What? I don't know. Do you see him now, sir? Yeah, look right at him. Okay, hang on. He's right. Is he in your yard, sir? Yeah, good. He's big. Okay, what's he doing in your yard?
Mythical Legends Podcast with your host Daniel Barnett.
Hey guys, and welcome to a live podcast of the Mythical Legends. Now, today, I have an amazing guest backstage, and I am so excited to get into this because it's been one of my top ones for me to meet for a while. And I'm very excited to have a really nice chat with him. But let's start off with our co-host. You probably know her very well. Out of our three co-hosts, and she's the only girl in this. So let's bring Jill Roberts on, my partner in crime that does all the dirty work for me for casting and eDNA, and she gets her hands really messy.
I'm very happy to be referred to as a girl. It was a very long time ago. Very polite of you.
How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, really good, and
Good.
like you, really looking forward to this particular guest.
When going back to the first ever programs we watched, the thing that got me into this was with this guest in, which was crazy that we're about to have about an hour long chat with him.
So
Amazing.
he was the start of it all.
Well, let's blame him for me dragging you out in the forest. Let's do that.
Yes, yeah, I might have to have serious words with him.
Okay, let's bring this guy on and have an amazing chat with him. And guys, any questions you do have, please just put it in the comments. Let's welcome Ryan Golembeske.
Hello,
Hey, mate, how are you?
people! Squatch time! It's squatch time! So wait, what's this? I'm the bad guy? I'm usually the good guy.
Yeah,
so
I
how am
think
I the bad guy?
I can blame you for all of this. You were the start of it. He was inspired by you.
Really? Was that with Finding Bigfoot, or was that on Expedition Bigfoot?
That was on Expedition Bigfoot.
Was it
Yep.
Expedition?
Yeah. And it was kind of the kind of entry into how I got into all this, and I'm now doing all sorts, and such as I may well now be in a conference with you in a few months. That's mad.
Crazy.
Is this your first big conference, or?
It's the first conference I'm in as a guest. Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
Daniel. I'm so excited for you. Are you coming too, Jill? Should I address you as a
Sadly
girl,
not,
a woman, or a
sadly not this
superstar?
time, but,
Well, Dad will be with me.
his dad is taking him. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't wait to meet you there. It's the first Bigfoot conference I've been to over in the US. And it's Colin.
Squatch Colin, can you hear me?
Yeah. So we're mate. So let's jump right in, and I'm gonna start with the question. Could you tell us about how you got interested into the cryptid world?
I grew up a military brat, and it's kind of twofold. Like I grew up in a family where all the women seemed to have ghost stories or interactions with the paranormal and the beyond. So it kind of started there with all the things that are on the fringe that you don't talk about when you go to school with your buddies and all that stuff. And if you bring it up, they just kind of tease you, and then it moves on. Well, then I was also a military brat, so we moved all the time. And for those of us who were military brats, yeah, we can go anywhere now as adults and whatnot, but when you first move around, kids can be really tough. So you spend a lot of time on your own trying to find friends, and you're just different. So I feel like that also kind of nudged me in the direction of the beyond, in the woods. So I spent a lot of time in the woods looking around. And then on top of that, mom was a librarian. And so she was always encouraging me, well, hey, if you're not going to go out and play and do stuff, then here's some books to read. And yeah, that's where I kind of picked up on what Bigfoot might be. And then I had an interaction coming back from Maine because my dad was stationed there. My mom didn't want to move there because I'm never moving to Maine. No, I'm staying here. And then we moved there. And of course, she never wanted to leave because Maine is just a beautiful place. But anyway, and I saw one on the side of the road, which as a kid, I thought it was a bear. We were just coming by at night, and something was standing up on this cliff face. And it was massive. And I just remember thinking, like, first it's a billboard of some, like an advertisement, but there was no wording or anything. And then I was like, oh, it must just be a bear, And then when it turned and walked, it walked upright, and it just walked back into the woods, And I was like, oh my God. Like you don't see bears walking like that in nature, maybe for a second when they're fighting. And I tried to explain it to my mom, and she's like, of course you're making it up, because I also have a wild imagination. But those kind of things just kind of led me into this pursuit of the unknown. And I'm just fascinated by it. I think that age of discovery that has been kind of put on hold by this new life of instant gratification, and the vicarious voyage, watching other people do it. That's tempered or really kind of killed that desire for most of us to go do it. And I'm just lucky that my life kind of forced me into it. And then from there, I was able to, it's a long story, but to work in a way that gave me a career in it. So then I was paid to go be in the woods on finding Bigfoot. And honestly, I want to find Bigfoot. I want to bridge the gap between our people and help, because what you guys are doing, you're inspiring kids to get back in the woods, to put down the technology for a second, even though we use it to help us, and get back to nature. And that's I just think that's paramount. All studies that come out, from grounding your feet to hug a tree. Hugging a tree will make you feel better.
Yeah, it sounds crazy, but that actually works, doesn't it? When Daniel and I go up into the forest, we can go up and we're just chatting away and looking, and it's just the most amazing feeling. And that's what Daniel wants to do, is literally to encourage as many sort of other kids as possible to do that.
You guys are like, it's more important, in my opinion, that you guys are doing this than me. Hands down. And that's, oh no, absolutely. I may have inspired you to start, but you were inspiring me to keep going. How's that?
Wow.
And I'm a papa bear now, so like everything is, your world changes, as you know, when that happens. And so now to inspire and to help other people get interested in it is like, if I wasn't trying to be cool right now, I'd cry because it's so beautiful. How's that?
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you.
Well, that's well, it a way that we are kind of helping, and you may have heard of a conference that we're putting on here in the UK this year. It's we are putting on we put on a small one last year. We've just UK, but we've opened it right up to American. We have Brian King Sharp, which I hear you know.
He's a wonderful, like a gentleman. There's a lot of roughnecks in the biz. It just is the manner of the beast. But there are a few really good ones, and I mean like solids that will have your back, look out for it, and stuff like that. And yeah, Brian's one of those, hands down.
Yeah.
So that it's just it's just the way that we're just kind of getting, because in my opinion, the more people we have out there, the more evidence we're gonna find.
That's that's why I'm hoping all the disciplines begin to come together and work together, because right now it's the world is designed at this point, in my humble opinion, to divide us, right? So you have Bigfooters, you got UFO guys, you got your ghost people.
Yeah.
If we all came together and pooled our resources, but more importantly, our unbelievable passion to go do these uncomfortable, scary things, yes, and we will get there a lot faster when we realize it's a team effort and not a solo egotistical effort. Yeah. Hands down.
Yeah. And something that very, very briefly I will kind of say to you, Ryan, is have you heard of any of my kind of findings we found here in the UK?
I saw your newspaper clippings, and that you I know that you sent some stuff away, some eDNA in Portugal or Spain. I'm sorry if I'm but you
Portugal,
sent them away. And I'm actually curious to find out about that, because also
I've got
from
the
my
results.
humble opinion, I have other friends and they have sent away evidence, which we all kind of say is like, yeah, this is it. And then it vanishes, or it comes back inconclusive, or that you damage the specimen or something to that effect. So I guess my question to throw back is, what made you choose that lab in Portugal? And do you have a direct link? Are you connected there? And
So
what?
I now this is in my book where I just emailed around. I literally just emailed as many companies as I could, and one came back with kind of, oh my god, we want to do this for you. Now,
well, I think it was a question of money, wasn't it? I mean, obviously we can't fund the prices that they were sort of thinking about.
Sure.
And so Daniel just didn't give up. He kept going. He said, somebody somewhere will do it. And then this company came back and said, because he was 14 and so enthusiastic, I think he'd been bombarding them. And they said they'd love to do it. So
yeah, the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Would you like the results?
Oh, Daniel, I would. Any part of your journey that I can help in, like I said, I'm in dad mode, so I'm like, if I can help you, as far as I'm concerned, you're another one of my sons, and I will help you in any way possible. But I will also share in the joy of your discoveries. Like, I hope you find it, man. I hope you prove it first.
So in that eDNA, and this shocks me every time I say it.
Yeah.
We're in this 18-inch print was old world monkey DNA and great ape DNA in the UK.
Yeah, and you think about the UK, like, it's harder to hide. Not that there isn't, you have your big spaces too, if you look at maps, but it is harder to hide there. Now, granted, you also have a lot less eyes, and with people on their cell phones and so distracted on the past and the future and what they're, we're lost. I feel like we have like amnesia and we're a little psychotic but once you get back into the woods and you calm that, you go to the first cathedral, in my opinion. Then you start to get this clarity and it opens up. And could you imagine you find an actual like relic tribe of hominids? Daniel, that's
smart. Yeah.
What do you do? What do you do with that amazing information? Like, besides just like jumping back in time?
We didn't make of it. I mean, we tried every
and still to this day we don't,
but we still can't come up with a good reason.
But what you have is the most solid proof, because like if you were to ask all the Bigfooters, what's something that it's really hard to discredit and just be like, oh, that's fit, is footprints, the casts. You not only have the footprint, you also have the DNA from within it. That's a double-sided sword there, bud. Like, that's you carry that proudly, and you share it with as many people, because that's something. And what do you do, right? What do you do?
I know. And what are your thoughts on that, Ryan?
In terms of I'm excited for you guys. Like, I don't have eDNA. To be honest, I've found very few tracks, and the ones that I found, it's like it's not the beautiful ones, or the people finding the 43 tracks in the snow and stuff. So I don't have that experience with it. What do I think personally as an explorer and someone passionate about this? I think you proved it. Like, unless now remember, there's there are a lot of wealthy people in the world. And one thing wealthy people seem to like to do when they make and I mean silly money, not just money, silly money, is they buy exotic animals. So, you know, cross-referencing and doing a more, it's almost like, right, money's no option, right? So you hired a private eye to go around and just historically go back at least 20 years to see if any large primates have escaped zoo, private ownership, whatnot, to see if maybe it's that, because you know their animals are very adept at hiding. We like to think we're like super smart, and they're all dumb. Like I can tell you, like, quick little sidebar. I won't go too far in the story, but I was in Amboseli National Lodge in Kenya, right? At the footprint of Mount Kilimanjaro, and just beautiful. But anyway, the Maasai warriors, they, as part of their rite of passage, which is another reason I love what you guys are doing, because it's like a big rite of passage, right? It's changed you, Daniel, into this new man, this confident man. It's wonderful. But they go and hunt lions, and you know, because obviously it's the scariest, biggest predator out there. And they would cut the tail off and then bring it home and show that they've become a man, right? So as far as they were concerned, no lions left. They killed them all. They're all gone. Until these scientists started to notice that between the hours of like 1 and 4 a.m., like, so basically the deepest, darkest part of the night, they were hearing lions and some things. So what this small pride figured out to do was, wow, I can't remember the exact name. It's like an acacia, but it's like giant thorns on these things. And they had found a massive grove of it and crawled, like belly crawled, like a soldier, biting off all the thorns and working themselves in a pattern, like almost like a mini maze, to the center where they cleared it out so they could lay in the middle. And they knew and this is just a large cat, which honestly, large cats are the craziest predators. They're the only things I'm scared of in the woods. You know, that's a big dangerous animal. But they had figured out how to survive surrounded by the Maasai and the tribes. Now, if these large apex predators can do that, what we're talking about is something that is arguably even smarter. So what are they capable of, right? And I think they are literally capable of living in your neighborhood, and you would never know. You would never know.
Wow.
You know, so I think you found something. I think you're on it. I think the next steps is, what direction was the track headed in? Collect as many stories as you can and try to figure out the migrational route, or the route that they are traveling based on interactions. And then couple that with what I tell everyone is, find the spring, find the purest, most delicious source of life and water.
So very, very briefly, and I'll explain a lot more after the podcast, but we have found multiple bones, and I mean bone pit and jaw bones, and we've found scat that has been identified to be bear by some, and we don't have bears here.
Well, I would argue you might. Like if Bigfoot can hide, that's another big apex predator. It could be doing the same thing, only coming out for 3-4 hours a night, even if it's starving because it can't find food, because it knows you mess with humans, and a lot of humans show up and they've got fire sticks, and they just, you know, they kill. So
very true.
Before you completely discard it, you know, I would say, as we know, black bear population and Bigfoot, they overlap. They're hunting the same things. They need larger game. They need a big area. So you could have both. Who knows? The Bigfoot could be using it as a pet. You know, there's crazy theories about that. Using the crows, following the coyotes. I mean, imagine if you're intelligent. Okay. You have to limit risk, right, in nature, because if you get hurt, now you're a liability. You may not be able to get food. So if I'm intelligent and I'm out there and I know the coyotes are very adept at hunting things, or even the bears can find stuff, you just follow, and then you do what all big predators do. You just come and take it, or take what you want from it. You know, so that could be going on. And honestly, how exciting is that? Even if you don't find Bigfoot, you found a bear. Oh, like Daniel, there's so much more to it, right? There's so much more. Most of the time we go out, we do not find Bigfoot. We do not hear them. That's most of the time. But most of the time, you do have interactions with known animals, which in my opinion is another reason everyone should be in the woods, because it's it's wow, you know, like
I will completely agree with you on that.
It's wow. Like bird watching, I never understood bird watching. I never knew where my grandmother wanted me to go, why any of that. I was like, this is so lame. Now I'm like, I could sit here with a cup of tea and watch birds, you know, just birds.
Yeah.
And we could go deeper. We get into the frequencies and how the birds talking actually help the plants open in the morning. I mean, it's all connected. And our education system doesn't show us the true wonder of whoever you believe created this. They did an amazing job. You know, they did an amazing job. Sorry, I rambled off there.
Yes, same. See, said so. I said so.
I think last week, Daniel, we went out last week or week before, didn't we, to a different forest, and we really weren't finding anything at all. And then suddenly, I don't know what the birds were, not an expert, but big prey, hawks of some description. We could hear them. They circled. There were 3 of them. They circled over us several times, and we just stood in awe of these beautiful, huge creatures. And I said, if nothing else comes of today, we've seen this. It was just a magic moment, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was. Yeah, it really was. And say I both myself, Jill, and my cousin, we started off about last year. We went on a year's worth of expeditions to kind of do a bit of training to get to know. So when we're out there, we know how to do eDNA, we know how to do casting, we know how to do skills, and we called it Expedition Deer. And it was amazing when we were. It was our last expedition we did. And we saw 3 different deer. One of them stood there and barked in front of us multiple times.
Cool.
And I went, we've got that on film. And I'm like, that's just amazing.
Yeah. Well, we've got it on film, which is great, but we would have had some really good film if somebody hadn't had a fit of the giggles at the deer barking, because my husband, his granddad, said maybe he's got a bit of a cough, which made him have a fit of the giggles. So a lot of the footage is like this.
That's adorable. I mean, I don't know what to say, and that's real. That's pure joy. That's infectious too. You know, like that. There should be more of that. We somehow, as we get older, there's actually a condition where you take yourself too serious. And that's why a lot of us are holding back, and that joy that we got growing and learning, like you're doing, going to the woods, learning how to hunt. You're playing. Like we play. We learn the best through play. So I guess I would encourage your viewers, and you guys, don't ever lose that. Don't feel bad about it. Don't lose it. Now, if you're filming for Nat Geo and you're trying to sell it, you could get in trouble. But I wouldn't sacrifice that joy.
Oh,
you know?
No.
No, that's real. That's real. And who knows if you were being watched or not, and they're seeing that joy and seeing how comfortable you are. What if the key to making contact is truly getting back to nature and recognizing that all these simple things, not big movies, not big explosions, big. Nature speaks in subtlety, and to be able to find that joy, who knows that that's not the moment they walk out and go, okay, you figured out the secret. This is Eden, and I want to talk to you. You know, then you just got to try not to poop your pants, because that's the thing. Wait till you guys get close. It's you want it to happen, but do you? And there is a part of you that does not want it to happen. That's all I can tell you. And then it will be nervous giggles, and you'll be.
So I'm going to slightly move on, because I've got about 20 questions in front of me, and I've got about 5 in bold that I really need to ask you.
Yeah, no problem, bud, no problem.
So would you be able to tell us about your experience on finding Bigfoot?
Yeah, finding Bigfoot, and I won't ramble too much, is my brother and I were supposed to have a show. We have a thing called Monster Brothers. You can see it on YouTube. It's a 4-part series, and our goal was always to do it as a family, because it was just like you guys. We did it loosely as a family, but everywhere we moved, that we would ghost hunt. We would look for Bigfoot, and so we really tried to get that off the ground, and it just you'll see, for different reasons, it didn't work out. And but when we were doing pickups for Spike TVs, I don't even know if Spike's around anymore, but Spike TV at the time, we went and we were like, okay, we need people like us, people that recognize that when you go doing this, you're there to have fun. Okay, you got to make it fun, because if just don't take yourself too serious. Like I said, it leads to a syndrome that none of us want. So we were trying to find people like us, and that's where we found James Bobo Fay, and he was recommended to us through an editor friend of my brother, who was an editor at the time. And so we went out and we partied with them in the woods and looked for Bigfoot and filmed. And as you'll know, like, you want to create memories with people that you can never shake and you never want to shake. And when you do that, you're bonded for life. So Bobes and I became really good friends. We just kindred spirits. And then obviously he got a show, and that show went. And after a season, I think it was a season, he hit me up, because he like, a lot of people working in showbiz, it's just a job, you know. It's hard to find people that also, okay, well, here's the content, and I also love the content. So he's like, RPG, we need you. I want you out there, you know, like this. It's a grind. It's like a real grind. Well, you know, if you go out, it's not comfortable, but I think you have to find joy in being uncomfortable. And once you step beyond that, then the world is just truly beautiful. So, so that's how it got me into finding Bigfoot. And I had, and this is for people like, never, if you truly love something, you can never give up on it, because I had actually sold a show to MTV about traveling the world. So we took it was called Exiled, and we took the worst Americans possible. So, and by worst, I just mean spoiled, rotten kids. I believe there are no such thing as bad kids. There's just bad parenting, and the United States, or your country and your actual family, are two different types, and you got to remove kids from that and give them a rite of passage. So that's what we did with these kids. And it's amazing. They all changed. If they weren't going to go to school, they're never going to get a job. They're never going to cook breakfast. They're never going to they came back. And if you could have seen their parents' faces, who just threw money at them, therapy, all this stuff. But all they needed to do was go be radically uncomfortable and find themselves. Anyway, so I wish I was still doing that show, to be honest. It was so beautiful. But anyway, that I had sold it, and then that kind of tapered off. And I was like, well, I'm a hot shot. I'm coming out Hollywood. I'm going to make shows. Like, this is my life. And I couldn't get any work, because they just thought it was a fluke. So at that point, where I'm a creator, director, top of the world, right? I then had to go back and decide, do I start over, or do I just cry about it? And so I started over on Finding Bigfoot. And I started as a PA, a production assistant, even though I just come from being a show creator. And I worked my way up to where I was producing that show. And if that show would have kept going, I would have been a supervising. I would have gone all the way with it. But just never give up, people. And it's gonna give you a couple good ones. Even when you think you're all done, just get up, put that next foot forward, and charge. And so what that turned out to be is the greatest professional job of my life. I wish we had cameras on the behind the scenes of what we went through, how hard we worked, how much fun we had, wink, wink. It was extraordinary. And really, what did we do? We were hugging trees every day, whether we liked it or not. And for that, everyone had a wonderful time. So that got me into it. And eventually I was on an episode, producing and everything, but that's how I got into that world, and it's small, man. It's very hard to make money on Bigfoot, as you guys know. It's even if you get ED, all this stuff, it's hard to crack in, because mainstream does not want us to know. Which leads me to a question to you, which is that a good thing? Because I oscillate back and forth between, yes, I'd like the world to know so we can protect more forests, we can have more land, we can create more wonder, more people wanting to dive into the natural world. But I also understand humans. And there's a lot of experiences where evidence comes up in an area, that next night, all these hunters show up and everything in the immediate area is shot and killed. Because...
We've had the same debate about that as well, haven't we? I think that's one of our views.
That same, and I feel like, and I keep going back to the thing of, yes, for science and that, we want to find this creature, and of course it'll be amazing. But again, as you just said, humans can be cruel, and they can, and I go, why don't we just leave this creature alone? It's really hard. And I asked Dr. Meldrum the same question, and it's torn. And I'm like, I don't know on that, and
no one can predict the outcome, can they? We can't predict if it was found and it was made known. You're going to get clashes of people.
I think 50% would go bang, and 50% will want to half and half.
There's not nice people around, isn't there?
Yeah, well, I believe there would be a time of unruly unrest as it kind of settles in. But ultimately, if it was to come out, the first thing you do is endangered species until we find out more, completely illegal. And you just hit people, you hit people where it actually hurts them, which goes, it's $1 million if you shoot one and we find out $1 million.
Yeah.
And then people be like, okay. They're not real, because, we had a sighting on our property. And after, besides the whole story, after the missus looks at me and she goes, "Are we in danger?" Which is a real, when you have kids, it doesn't matter if you're kids or not. You just, when you hear it, when you get close, you guys are going to be, am I in danger? Right. And in my humble opinion, just like humans, I'm sure there are a few bad ones out there, a few angry teenagers that might, with an opportunity, but it's far and few between. And I don't think they're dangerous. They're smart, man. If you just look at us biologically, like we're all animals, just for a sec, we're all animals. Yes, we appear to be the top apex predator, and we'll just say we are, because we want an area, we just go take it. The Bigfoot, even if they're there, they kind of complain, maybe knock some things over, scare a few people, but they leave. So I think it would level out eventually, and I think it would actually be unbelievably beneficial for protecting wildlife areas for them to come out. And that's where I stand right now. But in a few days I could be like, nope, don't tell anyone. Say nothing. But I don't know. It's like, what would we do then? This is our thing.
I don't know. Yeah, what would you do?
It's very true.
A lot, we?
And it's like, it's very, very different, Bigfoot in the US and UK. Very, very different. And it's like I spoke to a class over in New Mexico, and they were talking about Bigfoot, and one of them pulled out a Bigfoot toy. Here, you get laughed at if that happened.
Sure.
We are starting to build a team. I've now got about 40 members in this team that are working to find Bigfoot. We've got some up in Scotland, some down here in Southwest where we are, some by London, all throughout the UK. So wherever you are, within about 20 miles, there will be someone that is part of our team. And
bravo.
And we've now started a network here. We've got all sorts going on here, and we are trying to bring that up, and we're trying to make sure that we get what you guys have, where we are talking about Bigfoot. Now, obviously you guys have kind of the conspiracies of the government and that over there.
Yeah.
We don't have that. I'm not sure our government gives a crap.
Congrats. That's good. That's a big roadblock.
Well, we don't know, do we? We have no idea, but it's not a big topic here. It's very seldom ever mentioned. So
Sure. Well, you're the genesis. You are that's what's so exciting for you guys is you're building that up, And Daniel, by the time you're 18, think of the beautiful Bigfoot kingdom you guys will have established. You'll be at every conference. I'll be introducing you everywhere. I'll be like, you getting bored of this yet? And you're like, no, because I'm up to 400 people looking out. Remember, that's what with finding Bigfoot, it was the same way though. Like you're just in the beginnings. You're in my opinion, you're in the most beautiful part because you're building this, and you're the engine. You're the center of the heart, the passion of it. And when we were doing Finding Bigfoot, we couldn't get people to go to the town halls. They didn't want to because they would be shamed. The shame game is so powerful, right? And we don't want that. We all want to get along. We want homeostasis. So, so just understand what that 40, it will grow, and then you'll have a moment where it will just pop. Like if you can get a sports team to get their mascot to be, then that's huge because now you've brought it into a realm which people think are cool, right? Yeah. But by the end, we had to turn people away. So eventually, you will get so massive. And I guess my question to you too is, or more of an observation is, do not discount underground, especially in areas where there are a lot less trees and maybe a lot more people. So I hope that you're also considering getting, some technology. I think a lot of technology just won't work on them. But yeah, getting LiDAR and like looking underground, especially where there were once large structures, let's just say trees or flora, fauna. There's usually great sources of water there, and then giant. Yeah.
To add to that,
yeah.
In this same forest, now this will blow your mind. All this that has happened, all the eDNA, bones, structures, all of it is in a 1 mile forest. Okay.
Awesome. Yeah.
And we have been to the edge of this forest, and we found an old abandoned building, and I'm like, what's this doing here? And it was a big dip. So I did some investigating on that week and found out that's a covered quarry which could open up caves, and I got goosebumps when that came up, and I went, there you go.
There you go. No, figure out how to get in there safely. That would be because once again, you may not find them there because they're way too savvy. They're going to be on to you. But you might find your bear. You might find other things that they said are extinct and are no longer there, and they'll be there. And then it will be up to you whether to share that or keep it hidden. So but that's you're 100% on point with that, and I would investigate that hardcore.
So it's something that we're just really, really just amazed by. It's just some incredible, and we honestly just can't believe it in the slightest. It's now one question I have to ask you is, what is your favorite cryptid and why? Now that may be a very, very easy question.
Bigfoot would obviously be it. It's become my life, my career, and my focus. Now, what I kind of started more, and it should probably be like ghosts and stuff, although it's not cryptid. It's sea creatures. The great New England sea serpent, right? These ships would go out and they would be attacked by things and or see things in the water. My brother's college professor was out by Woods Hole up in New England, and they were doing this experiment. They basically had this massive, almost like football stadium size float, and they were just blasting light into the deep. And this was maybe 20 years ago now, or a little more, but that's recent, right? And on the edge, now I don't remember specifically what they were there for. They weren't there for the great New England sea serpent and large cryptids, but on the edge of the light, which kept showing up for night after night, was something that looks just like that, like basically like a titanoboa, like the giant snake, but water snake, and was showing up, undulating in the water on the outside and then diving down. And this is a man that in academia, not prone to lying. This is what I saw. Here are the facts. And if we've only explored what they say 5% of it or something like that, and there are some people which I kind of lean. I mean, water could be God. I mean, we're water suits, right? Water is in everything. It's very fascinating. So I just think there are some big things out in the water, and that it like I'm not afraid to go in the woods look for Bigfoot. Even though large cats, bears, everything, but the water terrifies me. That is. Really? Exciting, but just what do you do? Like for all my muscle and strength and speed and wisdom, 1 mile an hour away, like 1 mile an hour, just watch orca swimming behind a boat at 30 miles an hour. And you're like, okay, not going in. But that fascinates me because that was there first. So what's one of the allures of Bigfoot? It's giant. It's like it's seeing a dinosaur. Like you go to the zoo, you want to see the big animals because you're like, rhinoceros are that big. It's amazing. The ocean's been around longer. These things 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 times the size of that. So I would say the great New England sea serpent. If I could ever get close and really get a good view of that, that would be.
So a question that is not on the list, but so have you ever been here to the UK before?
I've been to Ireland.
Okay.
but yeah, not to
So,
England or Scotland or.
have you? You probably would have heard of this. I would have thought is Loch Ness monster.
Oh yeah, we've. Where do you go with that? Okay, are you asking what I think that is, what it could be, or
Yeah.
what do you want to know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just kind of your thoughts on it.
Yeah. Without going too deep into it, I think once again, we highlight what we consider sexy animals, big animals with a certain look and whatnot. And there are some that we just don't like snakes. You know, we're not really like, I don't want to talk about snakes or spiders or something. I would encourage people to do a deep dive on eels, and just start looking into eels and how big eels can get. And the fact that, you know, you're like, okay, eel, that's weird because you don't really think about it, you know, they're not, but there are some eels that if they get stuck in a certain environment and aren't able to come in, breed, and then go back out, they never stop growing, ever. Now, you know, things can run in. Also, giantism runs across all species.
Yes.
So what happens if you get one that, and it could be a 1 in a million chance, but that's life. It's beautiful. You get one with giantism and that one breeds and it has a better chance of passing that on, and it's isolated and stuck in an area. Now, also some of these eels, you know what they can do? They can cross land. They can get out and hop on land. So you look at some of the original stories. What were they with the couple that were driving and they saw it cross the road in front of them, and you listen to how they describe how it moved. It didn't move. It almost slithered. Well, look at some of these large eels and the way they move when they cross the land. So, and we tend to exaggerate, you know, it's late at night, this, that, who knows, you know, they may not be as gigantic as we thought, but still you have a 10-foot eel. Let's say even gets up to 20 feet, right? That's a monster. That is, and I mean monster in a fun, awesome way. But that's big. So what do I think's in that loch? I would go. There are different types of eels. What is it? The Saragosso Sea in the Atlantic. But they basically breed. They live there, and then they come into lochs in different areas to breed. But that's my gift. Just deep dive a little bit into eels.
You've blown my mind now.
Yeah. No,
I'm not going to sleep tonight.
Don't sleep. Go into eels. And there's a good fictional book called The Loch. If you just like a good read by a great author, I can't remember. Is it Steve Alton? It might be Steve Alton, the guy that wrote Meg. But the thing before people just discredit him as an author, one of the amazing why I like reading certain people is because they do a lot of research. They want to figure out what could it really be, and could it really be real. And that's the only book that I've ever seen that's kind of validated the eel theory. But yeah, and they're spectacular. They're like cockroaches or pigeon, like any animals, like rats that can survive around humans and survive in almost any condition, almost any water. Yeah, eels are amazing. They're one of the most amazing animals on earth. So,
that's shocking.
That's my
gift.
That is
just shocking.
We want it to be these dinosaurs, but maybe it's simpler. You know, who knows?
Yeah. That honestly is blown my mind.
Yeah.
You none? That is.
They can cross land to hunt and can grow to large enough sizes to freak you out. So, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. So you watch, man. You watch. No sleep tonight.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Ryan. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Oh man.
Well, it's. I'm moving on now. I'm completely moving on.
Okay, no problem. Back to Bigfoot.
Yes. So probably the history of Bigfoot is. What is your opinion on the Patterson Gimlin film?
That one's wonderful. I think, because now I'm not a computer engineer. I even wouldn't say, like, just watching the film that I would be the person to just by watching tell you that that's real or not. But you can deep dive into the lives of these two gentlemen. Like I actually really tried to get, I should send you it, I have it somewhere, but we tried to get a documentary off the ground about Roger and Bob, because in our humble opinion, my team, they're arguably two of the greatest, even though they're known but unknown to the mainstream public,
Yes.
American heroes and American, can I say badass? I'm sorry for,
Yeah, that's fine.
okay,
That's fine.
okay, but truly extraordinary men. Okay, they were both pugilists. They were both fighters. Like they would, and they're not large men. They're like Wolverines as opposed to bears, right? You don't mess with them, but amazing fighters, like both in the military, boxing, for the Navy and whatnot. Sharpshooters, so true cowboys, can ride horses and sharpshoot. And Roger was actually from a family of tumblers, meaning circus performers, people that are adept at flipping, tumbling, doing crazy stunts, right? So if you begin to gather the data on these two men, but you're trying to stay neutral, what you have are, in my opinion, the two people completely capable of an epic journey that pushes you beyond where you thought you could even go, that would enable you to hunt this creature that is so unbelievably elusive. So they've got that. Now, if all the facts about the case are true, meaning what they also had on top of just being out there long enough, being out there remote enough, and being tough enough to stick it out. If you listen to the story, they were at their wits' end. They were running out of food, everything. They're doing cowboy coffee, where they're just drinking the same thing over and over, getting on each other's nerves. This isn't real. And then perfect conditions existed. So they're in this creek bed, right? They are upwind. So obviously, as we know, with the deer, and if they smell you, it's over. So now you're upwind. This washout had gone through. So the creek, instead of being wide open, had giant stumps of trees and giant things blocking their view. And on top of that, they're on horses, and they're so exhausted that they're not talking. You're just like, oh my God, how much longer are we going to push this? It's not real, And on top of that, this creature, if she was real, Patty, she's bent down in the creek, ducked just enough out of view so she can't hear him, she can't smell him, and there ain't no humans up there. There just isn't. That's not where people go.
Yeah.
So all of these things just lined up so beautifully that if all that is true, then yeah, I could see these two gentlemen being the two men or two human beings that found Bigfoot. I absolutely could. And where is my heart with all this? Obviously there, because once you see that film, it doesn't matter what else you saw about Bigfoot. I had this Time Life book series where I saw a picture of it that looked like the Bigfoot that was up on the cliff. But when you see the video, you're like, oh, it's real. Why aren't people believing? Right? Now you have that side, but then if you go to the other side, like I said, they're so dynamic and amazing, and Roger was a professional tumbler that falling off a horse and shooting a camera, or wearing a suit and walking and doing that, in my opinion, is something completely within his wheelhouse that he could have done, and gotten into the performance of it and how to really, and studied apes and studied, and well, what do they do when they walk upright? Like, I believe they were the right guys to also fake it, and also take into account what were they doing there. They were filming a movie. They were trying to do what they were doing, which, makes you think like, well, that's a little suspect. Like, you know what I mean? Like if just two strangers are out in the woods just hunting and this happens, well, that's something. You're like, oh, okay. But they were there to do exactly what they got done, right? Yeah. So, and without going too much farther in it, but there's solid facts on either side of it. So all I can tell you is, and I don't think, and anyone that just sits there and says it's real, they don't know. Oh God, what's it? Bill Munns. Okay. So when I went and we filmed the final episode of Finding Bigfoot, which is my favorite thing I ever produced, right? I got a chance to ride with Bill Munns and talk with Bill Munns. And Bill Munns is one of the only people in the world I know that has enough copies of the film and different versions. We actually, with Bill, just like you, Daniel, I used to be a pain in people's butt, just lovingly like, can we come? Can we look in all these old boxes that you have here? Do you mind? Like, please, you can see that, we'll donate, like just whatever. And they let us in, and we found another version. It's not the first one, which obviously I think would really just set it in stone or make it a hoax. You could tell, but he has enough where he's layered them all. And I didn't get to see his perfect one, but he's got like 6 films deep where the quality is, and we showed a decent quality on the show on that last episode that makes me lean this way. I'm leaning towards it's real, right? But Bill would just be an amazing person to actually ask that question based on the only evidence we have, which is the video. So that's kind of where I stand, and I could go back I could argue both ways. I could argue both ways.
It's a brilliant. It's brilliant to hear from someone who knows a lot about Bigfoot and actually leans both ways. I've never heard of a Bigfoot researcher that goes, it could be both ways. Well, that's an amazing opinion in my mind.
You have to stay open-minded, right? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert, but I want the truth, and for me, the truth is bigger than me being right about it or me creating a very hard line in the ground that I vehemently defend. I think if you lose your open-mindedness, that sets you back. It sets you back.
Yeah, I think that's the advice we've had from quite a few of the like the top dogs, as it were, isn't it? I mean, Dr. Jeffrey Meldrum was amazing and gave Daniel all that same advice, didn't he? Stay open-minded, just keep going.
And it's like fishing, exactly. Like you have to cast a whole bunch, and most of the time you don't catch the championship lunker, the big fish. So it's really about time spent in pursuit. And you guys I always give the most credence to the people that are the most active. Like down here, Mid-Florida Bigfoot Group, they're out all the time. Every weekend they're doing it. If I've got all these kids now, so my life is, I'm cohabitating. We saw Bigfoot here, but it's the people that are active that needs the most attention, the most love, and the most support. So like I said, any way I can help you guys, if next year when your event is larger, I would love to come out. Like I said, I've never been, and I would support you guys wholeheartedly. So
that would be amazing.
We'll kind of have a word about that after podcast. But I will say we have a comment in the now Tim is one of my team. He's in the Southeast team, and he has that question for you.
I watched Flash of Beauty on Prime. Yep, that's very well shot. It's beautiful, which is fascinating. What are your thoughts on paranormal or a living creature? Thank you, Tim. Great question, and you're on a great team. So keep it up. They paid me to say that, by the way. So, so once again, I would be on either side of the fence. If we want to go a little deeper, and I don't want to lose your audience, but my research has led me to another area. Okay, so there's a gentleman in the UK that he's written a book. His name's Patrick Jackson. It's called The Quantum Paranormal. And I give this as a gift to everyone because our culture has basically killed our natural instinct, our gut. What you can just tell some people are good, some animals are good, some bad. Well, that's been subdued greatly. And I've tried to get away. Like I've tried to stop flooding myself with all this other and just sit in these moments and see what's real. And when I started, one of the first things was I heard him on my brother's podcast, Cosmic Cantina, and it resonated. And it resonated so powerful with me. I was like, oh my God, he figured it out. Because once again, it's about subtlety. We're conditioned to think big. Like aliens show up, it's gonna be a mothership, dinosaurs, big. We're not, who talks about the little ones, the little dragonflies, which are super cool and still here. So what he kind of recognized was in his town, a very haunted town, they had this monk that would just walk across the street and everyone just knew it was a ghost. You would go into a store and it was supposed to be a cell phone store and you're like, this is like a 17th century felt hat shop. Like, what is going on? You go back outside and it's all back to normal. So he started to recognize patterns, and there are a lot of patterns with these Bigfoot. If you journal and you keep track of it, these people are going to see it with kind of a similar pattern. So, it goes into also like autistic. Is Bigfoot autistic maybe, or on the spectrum?
I'm also autistic.
Danielle, awesome, because that gives you a superpower, right? That gives you it kind of blocks out a lot of the BS of the world if you can do it. If not, then the world, then it's too powerful. Once you block, you have a superpower that most of us just wish we had. How about that? But he noticed these patterns in it. And when he did that, he goes, this seems like technology, not flesh and bone and whatnot, right? And so then you go back and you begin looking through just the past and the history, and there's these spheres. Foo Fighters, very famous band, the Foo Fighters. I believe artists are in the know because they're connected with people in the know, and the only way they can really tell you is to name their album after it, do a song about it, but they can never directly say it because for some reason it's hidden. Anyway, these spheres, which are, in the simplest way to put it, advanced, ancient but advanced drone technology. Look at just what they're doing in Dubai or at the EA game show that they're doing with drones now. The sky opens up and a full-on warrior alien comes out of the sky with smoke and effects, swinging. People are screaming. It's amazing. It's godly. It's spectacular. And we can do that now just in the public sector, never mind in the private sector. So if you have we have technology now that if there was a Bigfoot in the woods and you were all set up with your drones, you could create the illusion that it's not even there. You could hide it with sound. You could distract in another direction. So what I think, and this where I sit right now in my research, is, are there flesh and bone animals? There were over 20 different type of hominids, and our history books have just led us to believe that we just killed them all off, all dead, all gone. I find that hard to believe. Even if they had a fraction of our intelligence and our ability to breed and produce tools and hide and think, they're out there, right? They're out there and they're everywhere. So I think there is a variety. I think Bigfoot is more of a blanket statement for these things. But anyway, I'm digressing. So I think there are flesh and bone out there. I think there is a variety, just like there's a variety of different looks of humans. And I believe there is some kind of system set up that keeps us as separate as possible, but without giant fences, giant walls, giant things, right? And I think that's what we run into in the woods sometimes, especially, you can see videos or see pictures we get sent of, Bigfoot seem to phase or like literally disappear as they're walking, which first thought is, well, it's a ghost, right? That's paranormal. That Bigfoot is a ghost, which I'm not discrediting that either. It could be. But what I believe it is right now is, no, you saw whatever type of hominid it was, and we'll call it Bigfoot, but there was also technology monitoring both of you. And in that moment, it made it, and it just created the image. And that's it. And they're harmless. You can look in ancient depictions and reliefs, and you're going to start to see these balls, these spheres. And no one wants to talk about it because it's not flashy, it's not sexy, it's not cool, but they've always been there. And if you are open to, where we are on this, whatever this is that we're living in, it feels like a game preserve to me. And we may be fancy, we may wear our clothes, and we may talk and have all, but at the end of the day, we're animals. And there are other animals that live here. And I think, yes, the system keeps us as separate as possible, so there aren't too many interactions, because what happens when you put two apex predators together? Sometimes it gets violent. And you don't want that, because you're protecting both sides. And I believe they just live in smaller groups. There's an interesting statistic, right? Like if you can live in harmony in a village and with people. So when you build your team, you watch what happens when you get to 500 people. After 500 is when the narcissists show up, the serial killers show up, the disruptors, the conquerors. So there's something about whatever our species, whoever designed this again, they meant us to live in groups and communities and to work harmoniously together, but never too big. And so my feeling is like where we've kind of exploded and just gone off the rails, they've kept it small. And not only that, when are we at our best? When are we at our best? What did we do with aroma? Why did we destroy a culture of travelers that gathered information? Because when you travel, you have to be on your best, because you may need people's help along the way. It forces you to be a good person. And I'd like to believe that as a tribe, and as a lost tribe, which all these Native Americans, they all talk of, they don't call them animals, they're a lost tribe. they understand the basic functions of nature, and they adhere to those rules because they work. Whoever created us created as perfect a system as you can, right? And we have egotistically risen out of that, unfortunately, and that's why we have so many problems. But that's my opinion.
So I need to throw this in. I love your opinions on everything. I honestly do, and I've been sat here going, I love him. He's great. I love his opinions, and even I message Nan going, I love his opinions. It's so brilliant. My last couple of questions for you is I'm now obviously Expedition Bigfoot is how I got into kind of this world. Do you want to explain a little bit about your kind of interaction on Expedition Bigfoot?
Sure. Sorry, I spelled quantum wrong. I just had to type it fast, everyone.
That's all right.
Yeah, Expedition Bigfoot. So yeah, that was powerful, right? You devote your life to this, to the fringe, and to being a lovable weirdo. And I had made it in our profession. I had made it to the pearly gates, and I had gotten on TV where I would now have a platform to, as we're talking. This is me. Like, this is how I feel. I want everyone to get along. I want us to work together. But unfortunately, like, I had just gotten back from the Guiana Highlands in South America, looking for the lost city of gold, producing for a travel show. And, you know, I was at elevation for a month. When I'm there, I immerse myself in the culture. I eat like them. I want to stay with families. Like, I don't know. I'm like that guy when you're driving down the road and you see all those people. It makes me melancholy to think I'll never know them. I'll never know their story. I'll never know what's going on in their life. So yeah, I had just gotten back, and I'd also gone to Mexico to do dental work because the service is amazing, the price is amazing, and I got to travel, which I love to do. So, but you run the risk, different water, different standards. So the stress on the body from being away for so long, getting work done, and then just the stress of going and finally like achieving my dream. And I'm a dad now, and I'm like, I have a family. Like, before it was just about me and my ego and building this for me, but you know, like, the second you have something like that, it's about us. And so it was super exciting and thrilling. And all I can tell you is, yeah, I may be scared of the bottom of the sea, but I'll go. You're going to go into that quarry, and I'm lucky enough to be invited. I will go. I'm brave when I need to be, and my body is brave. But for some reason, my body shut down on that, and it shut down in a manner that I've never experienced again. I'd never experienced before. I mean, apparently there's 9 different types of migraine you can get, and I was getting all 9, like all 9. Like, they were like, what is going on? So, you know, I try to rationalize. I don't want it to be infrasound, which is another thing we can discuss. I do believe Bigfoot and anything large enough, big enough cavity can create it, and I believe they communicate with it around people. But I don't want to believe that, because I'm the nice guy. If they literally came out of the woods and said, stop, thank you, you know, I'd be like, all right, thank you. I wanted that moment, you know, just to be like, I want to know they're real. And when you talk to me and you see my expression, you know they're real. So yeah, I just got there, and I just fell apart, man. I fell apart. It was bad. I was just crying all night, wake up, throw up. But the irony is, I would have worked through anything. You could rip my arm off. And I'm fighting for my family now, you know, and I'm fighting also my dream. This is my dream. I had made it to the Mecca, and I went to the emergency room. They went in. They basically gave me a lot of fluids because, you know, the throwing up and everything, being sick and just sweating, and they gave me some penicillin. And that next day, I went for like 4-mile run in the mountains. I was feeling great. I was like, I'm back. Thank you so much. And then the top producer, not the main showrunner, he's a really good dude. They all wanted me. They wanted me. This energy will never change, no matter how hard. When I'm with you guys and we're out and we've pushed it far, I am Roger Patterson, or, you know, I'm at my best when everything gets bad, because that's my chance to like help the team, right? And I would have worked through it, and they said, nope, because TV, you're a liability, and we're not going to even risk it. I'm like, dude, I feel great. Like, just keep me on penicillin. It's a 2-week shoot, like no problem.
Yeah.
And they just cut me. And yeah, that was the toughest. I'm not a person that gets depressed. I'm not like, I don't, go work out hard, change your diet, like go out with your friends, let them cheer you up. But that hit me hard because I failed my family and I lost my dream.
I could see then, I can see it now, where I've watched that episode about 100 times, and I'm not joking. I go, both myself, Gramps, can see the excitement in you in that car driving to that forest, explaining yourself, and then seeing you go. No, that and I have had a lot of people that have gone, why hasn't he come back? I'm like, a lot of people wanted you to go back.
A lot. I was actually the highest rated outside of Maria, who is so wonderful for our discipline to help validate, like a Meldrum, like people in academia. Highest rated, everything. It was wanted, but TV has a struggle that people don't understand, right? You need to keep your viewers. That is just about making money. And so they can't have the risk of me getting hurt and then suing and stuff like that. So they just can move on very simply because they're wonderful people. You could be on that show, man. The two of you, that'd be wonderful. There are a lot of other really good people and researchers to be, to choose from. And Ronnie, you know what I did? And this is for people too, like, that's the hardest thing professionally I've ever gone through in my life. But I immediately got on a podcast with Ronnie and his buddy. And I told him, I love you, bud. I'm so happy for you and your family. This is your chance. And this is the way. I don't get it. I'm not saying I'm not mad and upset, but I am powerfully happy for you. And I think if we did more of that as community and whatnot, the world would be better. And who knows? Who knows? If that show keeps going, maybe they do have me back. And maybe that will happen. But if they don't, whoever gets in, I will be very happy for. And I'm done trying to control it because expectations can really ruin your day. Like as you all know. So try to stay positive. But and it was a great experience. The just so you know, the crew, the cast, they were all lovely, and the location was beautiful. Like, and they're really trying. They're really trying, but it's hard. TV, you've got weather conditions, you've got all these different bodies to do it, and people so easily just crap on it. It's fake, it's this, it's that. They're not good. My opinion of all that is off your back. Just let it flow off of you. There's a lot of jealousy in the world, and it's much easier to be a critic than it is to get your hands dirty and get out there. So
definitely. Well, Ryan, I'm speechless, and I don't know what to say, because I was really excited for this podcast, and it's gone over the moon. That was amazing, bud. And I want to thank you, everyone in the chat. There's been loads of kind of things in the chat, loads of really nice questions. So my very last question for you, Ryan, on this podcast is, where can people find your work?
So right now on Amazon, depending, I'm very fascinated by alternative approaches to this. But I still stand. If you're interested in this, just go in the woods, have a campfire with your friends, and have fun. If they're there, they will come to you. You don't need to do anything else fancy. Now, with that said, we have one called Satonga, Bigfoot, Spirits, and Faith, which what fascinated me about that, we went to the Omaha Reservation in the States and in Nebraska, and they use prayer. And all I can tell you is, as open-minded as I am, I never thought to just go out there and pray and see what happens. And their interactions, I won't go too deep, but what I saw in a short weekend and experience with them through prayer is like, take everything else I experienced on finding Bigfoot and all those years of work, and I got it all in one weekend. Amazing. Wow. So Satonga, it's kind of an interesting name. Bigfoot, Spirits, and Faith. That's on Amazon. Also, Skunk Ape Experiments 1 and 2 and 3 will be out hopefully first quarter of this year. We try to do something different. There's so many good documentaries, but we were trying to fuse like graphic novel or comic with Bigfooting adventures. So we really just tried to make it real fun and feel like you're shot out of a gun and it never slows down. You're just like, whoa, whoa, whoa. That one's really fun and exciting, kind of geared younger crowd, if you're interested in that. And then we just got done doing the Conjuring House experiments where, like, if like I said, it's okay to be really passionate about one or the other, Bigfoot, aliens, or ghosts. It's awesome. But if you can, just take a step back and engage in a little bit of the other stuff on the peripheral, because you might get some really cool ideas to try out there, right? Like just taking a spirit box into the woods with Bigfoot and see if you get some voices back on it. You know, who knows, right? But yeah, we did the Conjuring House. That was gnarly. I was the first dude to like go in the well, and we did an Estes method in the well where I'm buried in the well, in the water, headset on, and they're asking questions up above to see if it's the earth, to see if it's the land, because your research is going to take you places where you have a house on it. But what people don't know about the Conjuring House is that's famous because they highlighted a few cases with the parent family there, right? But you talk to the neighbors, even more haunted, even more active. But they don't want anything to do with it. They don't want the shame. They don't want the light. Anyway, so Conjuring House experiments, another real big one. And besides that, Outcast Paranormal on Facebook, Instagram, whatnot, and stuff like that. And then if you go to the Great Florida Bigfoot Conference, the Smoky Mountain Bigfoot Conference, this year, I'm so excited about, you guys get on this eventually, the Alaskan Bigfoot Cruise. Oh my God. I'm so pumped. I missed the first year and I'll always be bummed about that, but I'm going year two. It's with Gather Up Events. They're phenomenal. Like I said, find a good tribe. Don't mess with anyone that just doesn't vibe well with you, and they're wonderful people. So yeah, I just have a lot of things coming up, and my goal would be to have once a month I get to go spend time with people like yourselves and just immerse myself in your wisdom, what you've learned, and just listen. I love just listening to people tell their stories, because you can just see it on them. You know, they're alive. You're alive, and all the worry of the world is gone for a little bit, and we're just little kids again. You know, it's wonderful. Yeah.
Well, Ryan, I'll thank you so much, and I want to thank everyone in chat, and I'll thank you as well, Nan, for being here to co-host this. And I think now we both agree this was incredible.
It was, yeah, absolutely mesmerised, fascinated. Thank you so much.
You guys are the best. So whatever I can do, you tell me where I audition, you tell me what I have to do. But if I can work with you guys ever,
I'm bursting to kind of wanna have a chat with you. Let's say after the podcast. But yes.
Okay.
Hey, my heart's going. So we'll have a chat now. But thank you so much to everyone out there. Keep searching and stay mythical. Thanks, guys.
Thank you for listening to the Mythical Legends podcast. For more information, check out our Facebook group. The truth is out there.